Hi guys, we are live. So I'll be shortly welcoming psychologist Nanda Perim here with us. She has an Instagram page called Psi Mama, that's PSIMAMAA, and we'll be talking about toilet training or potty training, however you want to call it. I don't actually like the term because I can't actually find a word or term in the English language that tells us that a child is stopping to wear a nappy, but without necessarily implying training. If there is a word, do let me know. I can't think of another word other than potty or toilet training. Let me just see if I can invite Nanda in. There we go. Let's see. While we were waiting for her to join. So I just wanted to say, this is not my area of domain. Hello, Nanda.
Hello.
Can you see us? Hi, how are you?
Yes, I can.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Lovely to see you. Lovely to talk to you. So for those of you who don't know Nanda, she's a psychologist from Brazil. I'm also from Brazil. So I've been following her work for a good while now, and I'm a massive fan. I love everything you write about. And I was just about to say, I'm not actually an expert in potty or toilet training. So the reason this live came about was because I posted something on my Instagram about the fact that I don't agree with any type of conditioning for children, including potty or toilet training. And obviously I got a lot of responses from people asking me why and what's the reason. And I just decided to, invite someone who really knows about this subject. A lot of the things that I learned came from you. So your approach is exactly what I believe in. So I just thought it would be a good idea to have you here talk to us as well.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me, for having this conversation about potty training.
Nanda, just let me interrupt you for 1 second because I don't think everyone can hear you.
Is it better now?
Oh, that's a lot better. Yeah, that's
Oh,
clear.
yeah. What I was saying is, well, my name is Fernanda. I'm a psychologist, and I see the way people look at potty training, and that makes me understand how that person sees the entire childhood. We can see that some schools here in Brazil, we have schools that do potty training for everyone at the same time. And when you see that, when you see they have this way of looking at potty training, we actually understand the way they see childhood in the bigger picture. Because if they do understand that they have to train a child to know where they're going to poo or where they're going to pee, then that's one way to see it, as the adult is the one teaching everything. So I'm the one responsible to teach my child to learn how to use potty training, the potty or the toilet or whatever it is. So the thing is, when you look at childhood itself and you think that the grown-up has to teach everything, you understand this child as someone really passive that has to be given everything. Like you have to teach them. They are completely blank and you just have to go and teach them because they're not going to learn anything if you don't have an effort. So here in Brazil, we can actually see how parents feel like they're being pressured to potty train. And when your child's not potty trained, by the time they're 2 or 3, you're a horrible parent. And then they feel like that's a way to say if you're a good parent or not, is if you were able to do the potty training, or if you were successful with it. And sometimes it is something that parents do for themselves and not for the kid. So you see parents, they're going to my direct messages and they're saying, no, I'm completely desperate. I have no idea what to do next because I've tried everything. And I'm like, why are you trying everything?
So hard.
Yeah, what's going on? What's wrong? And they're like, no, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt, everybody's telling me I should have done it already, and it has nothing to do with the kid. They don't even mention the kid. They're not.
And it's almost like it's almost a competition, isn't it? It almost becomes a competition between parents who did it before, and people get
Yes.
really proud if they've managed to potty train their child very early on. And
Yeah, yeah.
and you mentioned it's that's the case in Brazil, but it's not only a Brazilian culture. You know, I've been living in the UK for 16 years now, and it's no different here. And I believe, I know I have followers from, in particular, America, Canada, and Australia, and I'm sure they will say similar things. It's just that, you know, a societal thing, I believe, is not just
Yeah, it probably is.
something
It
particular
probably
to
is.
Brazil.
We have some different cultures that see that in a different way. If you go to Asian countries, they look at it a lot more like natural learning. So they actually have pants that have a hole in it, so the kid can, you know, just do whatever they have to do whenever. You don't have to even go to the toilet because the clothes are made for them to just, you know, go to the toilet anywhere. And here I think that most of the because of all the industrial age and everything that we had to go through, because people were going to work and they had to stay all day working, and then we had to take this kid somewhere, so everything was really practical, because everything was done to be the easiest way possible to have a lot of kids in the same place. So when you have preschool, when they actually see, they actually understand that place is a place for the kids to be while their parents are working. They don't understand how much of it is not about them, the institution itself. It's about the kid. So now we're trying to take a bit more individually, and we're trying to see that, okay, we have different kids, and different kids have different times. You know, they're going to do things differently. They're going to have, they're going to grow in different, you know, rates. And then when you start to see that actually the kids, they are the ones that want to grow. When you have a kid, that's what Montessori says, that if you give a child something they can't do, but they can try, they try a bit, and then they understand they're able to do that. And then they're like, okay, so let me try this. And then they'll be trying it until they are done with it. And then they will look at you and they're going to say, okay, I'm done with this. Give me a harder one now. So what she did was give them, you know, challenges that were not really hard. They were just a bit hard, so they could do, and they would find out they were capable of doing it. And every time they were done with one, they actually always wanted something harder. They were always growing because of their self-interest. It's not someone telling them, now you
That's
have to
their
grow.
natural inclination, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a natural
Who
inclination.
don't want to.
You don't have to teach them that they have to grow. You don't have to teach them that they have to potty train, because they watch you. They know where you go. I mean, you that are watching me, how many times have you gone to the toilet with your kid? Some of us had breastfed while we're, you know, in the bathroom. So the thing is, your child knows where she has to go. Your child actually knows. The difference is if they are able to or not. Because once they can learn, know they need to go to the toilet, hold it up, go all the way there, and then let it go. When they can do that, they're going to be really happy about themselves. So if they can't,
go ahead. Sorry.
if they can't, they just can't. They're not going to do it just because you like them or because you gave them some prize or something. That's just going to make it a more pressure for them to do it, not because they want to develop, not because they want to grow, but because they want to make you happy. They want that prize. You know, that's not a reason to grow. You shouldn't grow for, you know, personal gain, as in gifts. You shouldn't grow to make your mother happy. So your mother can tell her mother, and she'll make her happy. You know, you should grow because you want to grow, because you're ready for it.
So I think, and that tells our children, I think it sends a very wrong message about how they see their bodies, because, you know, we are telling them that they depend on us to know, to read the signs for them, to know that we are not teaching them to start reading their own body signs. We are not giving them the autonomy. You talk about three different types of developments. There are required to for a child to be able to use the toilet. A lot of people think it's something that depends on their willingness, and there's nothing to do with willingness. It's to do with development. One of the main questions that I got for this live was, what are the signs? What are the first signs? But I think what you say is that it's developmental, and there are three different types of developments.
Yeah,
that they depend on.
yeah, the thing is, if you're looking for signs, you're actually looking for some aspects telling you it's time to start the potty training, as if it's time for me to do something.
Right.
And the thing is, you have to look at it as something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. So the first part is to understand you're completely out of control in this. Don't try to control it, because it's not yours. It's not your process, you know. So once you start to understand that it's not yours, you're gonna, first of all, understand that looking for signs makes no sense at all. If you have a kid that using, they're not using panties, or whatever, if they're using panties and they're wetting their panties all the time, then that's a sign they shouldn't be wearing panties at all. You know, that's the only signs you should look for, are the signs that they are already done with it. That's it. Because people are going to ask, okay, now that I've seen the signs, what can I do? And there's absolutely nothing you can do. Once you start
people
doing
start
things,
looking for the signs, don't they? If you tell them,
that's
that's one of the things that may or may not happen, they'll start looking desperately for that sign.
And sometimes they show one of those signs. And the thing is, most of the signs are things that has absolutely nothing to do with your perception. So if the kid knows, so we have many stages. We have the indifferent stage, which is the one that the diaper is full of something and the kid doesn't even realize it. You say, did you poop? And they're like, no. And there's like loads of things inside. And that's the indifferent part. And then the second part is the past tense, which is when the child knows, okay, I did something. And sometimes they don't know which one of the, if it's poop, if it's pee, and they don't know, they didn't know they were going to do it. They didn't know they were doing it at the time they were doing it. They just realized they've done it. So that's the past part. And in the present part is the one that they can realize, they understand they are doing it right now. They didn't predict it, they're just doing it. So then start to feel, in the retro, they start to feel the thing going through, you know. So that stage is one of the stages the parents understand as a sign, because the kid says, I'm peeing, you know, I'm doing it right now. And then parents are like, oh no, why didn't you hold it? Why didn't you go to the toilet? Why are you doing it in the diaper, you know? As if they had a control, but they only starting to realize they're doing it. They don't even have the understanding of what that means or whatever to do with it. So that's the third stage, which is, so first one, indifferent. The second one is past. The third stage is present. They know they're doing it. And the fourth stage, which is future, there are two stages of that. There's a future with no control. So I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something, but I have no idea how to hold it. I have no idea how to control this. I can only start predicting. So that's, start predicting means I have some idea what's happening in my body. I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to, you know, link the things, the feeling with the leaving of the body and with the holding. And sometimes in that stage, it's nice for them to not wear anything at all. So they can see things going through them. But, you know, we don't live in nature. We have carpets and all that. So sometimes it's not good for parents to have a kid just peeing all over the house. So we just put a diaper on, and that's not going to be a problem. The kid's not going to, you know, not learn because they're using the diaper. That's not going to happen. You know, and then we have the future with control.
And people use a lot of, you know, it's summer, so let's do it because it's summer. So, you know, it's an opportunity to do it. But if the child is not ready at that summer, then it doesn't mean it's the right time, does it?
What summer means to me is, now it's a good time to let my child learn about her body. That's the, you know, as far as it can go, in my opinion, is, okay, so now is the time where I can go to the, you know, backyard. And, you know, if you have a backyard that's private, now I can take my kid to the backyard and play without her clothes on or something. you know, so that she can see, or he can, so the kids can see that they're pooing or they're peeing or something like that. So that's the most it goes with summer. That's my professional opinion. And then when it comes to the future, then we have with no control, and then with no control comes the learning about having control of it. And when we talk about we're not going to call it potty training, because it's not a training at all. They're not going to be trained about it. They're going to learn it. So we're going to talk about potty or toilet learning. And the toilet or toilet learning, they're going to happen whether the child's wearing a diaper or not. But it's more comfortable to have that learning, not, you know, wetting themselves or having to leave the grandparents' house or the restaurant because they're wet. So the thing is, there are 4 different kinds of the toilet or potty learning, which are the night pee.
That was one of the questions, actually.
Yeah, so we have 4 different kinds. The thing is, every child is going to go through all 4 of them, and we have to understand that they are complete separate processes, because every single one of them has 2 of them. We have 2 different urethras, one for the poop and one for the pee. We have boys and girls, which is completely different because of the distance and how you control it and everything. And then you have the night control, which is something you have to do while you sleep. And when you have the cycle of sleep finishing, you have to have the conscious to get up and go to the toilet. So that's one kind. And then we have today, which the child is awake and they have more control of their body. So we have the pee, control of the pee in the morning. We have control of the poop in the morning. We have control of the pee at night and poop at night. So those are 4 different kinds. The 4 things are going to happen completely differently. So a child cannot poop at night but pee. And that's completely normal. Child can not pee in the diaper anymore but need the diaper for poop. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. It's completely okay, because
and is there an order where things usually happen? We know that obviously if poo at night is the first one to go because that goes very early on.
Goes very early, but the thing is, I'm always afraid to say, you know, this is first, this is second, because parents really tend to attach to that, and oh no, my child's completely different, she did it in a different order, and that's completely normal. Every child's different, but usually they have the nocturnal poop is the first one to go. They control that really fast. And then we have the morning pee, and the daily during the day, the pee is the second one to go. And then we have the night pee, which is way after. It takes a long time between the day pee and the night pee, usually. And the day poop usually is the last one go. And sometimes I can find we have many kids that are okay with the day poop but not with the night pee. So it's really common to see some kids with 5-6 years old and they still need diapers to sleep because they can't control it. When they wake up in the night, they just can't go to the bathroom by themselves. So.
And one thing that I've heard you mentioning before, and I completely agree that it's completely wrong, is when you stop the child from having a drink at night when they're thirsty because you don't want them to be wet, mm-hmm. or when you sometimes wake the child up in the middle of the night to take them to the toilet so they don't get wet. When they're not ready for that process yet, and you are disturbing their sleep, which we all know is so important. That's my domain. That's what I talk about.
Yeah, baby sleep is like one of the major problems in the world. And then when you finally have your child sleeping, you decide you're going to wake her up so she can go to the toilet.
Doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God, you just went through a lot to make her sleep. Just let her sleep, And what I say about to drink at night is, if you drink a lot of water, before you go to sleep, you're like, oh no, I'm really thirsty. Then you take 2 or 3 cups of water. You're not going to pee in the bed. Because you're completely, you've learned your whole body scheme. So if you really feel like it, you're probably going to pee like a bunch of times a night, but you're not going to pee in the bed. So if the kid is having a problem controlling the pee at night, they just should be wearing a diaper. There's no reason why not putting a diaper on a kid if they're waking up wet, unless it's something that happens once a month, and then you're not going to wear diapers the whole month because of one time, and then you just use a bed protector and that's all. But if it's something that happens twice, 3 times a week, then there's no reason why you would just let your kid be all wet all night in the cold or something, just because you don't want to say, okay, she needs to go back to the diaper. And then we go back to that thing that we're talking about, that it's about an parental ego. It's something about the parent and how parents feel when they have to take the diaper back to the child.
And what about when the child doesn't want the diaper back? Because obviously, it might have that might have been something that happened before the parents insisted on making them believe that it's a baby thing, that they shouldn't do it in the nappy, and then obviously they toilet train, and then they start having accidents, because that's something that I got asked a lot as well about regressions, that my child was fully toilet trained and now they started needing the nappy again, but they are refusing the nappy. So what do you think?
Okay, so there's two different things. The first thing is the fake toilet learning, which is child decides they don't want to use the nappy or the diaper anymore because they've learned it's a baby thing. So if you give the child some reason to believe that they shouldn't be wearing a diaper or a nappy before they're ready to not wear it, then you're just creating a problem to yourself. It's just like telling your child, using coats are things for stupid people, but it's really cold outside. So what you're going to do, you have two options. You're either going to take your child really, really cold, or you're going to, make her feel stupid because she's wearing it. So the thing is, we have to stop with the, oh no, you're too old for this. We have to stop with it, because children don't do things when they're too old for something and they're still doing it. It's because they need to for some reason. We have to look for it, because kids are the first ones that don't want to look like a little child. They're the first ones to do that. They always want to look like they're older. If you ask a child whose birthday was yesterday, she was just 5 years old. If you ask her how old she is, she's like, I'm almost 6. And she's just done 5, because they really, really want to be older. They always want to be older. So if you're just giving them little reasons to believe that they're acting like a baby, they are going to tell you, okay, so I don't do this anymore, even if they need to. So that's the problem. We don't need the potty learning to happen because that child doesn't want to let you down, because the child doesn't want to look like a baby. We want them to learn because they learned it. We want them to grow because they grew up. That's what we do. So if we're giving them all the reasons other than, just learn when you're ready, you're not going to use it anymore, then you're probably going to have a stressful moment with a child needing to use something that they don't no longer want to use because you convinced them that's not a good thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to teach your child that diapers or nappies are not for babies. You are going to teach them that. I have a child book, which is only in Portuguese now, but we are in the moves to translate it. But well, now it's only in Portuguese. And in my book, we say nappies are not for babies. That's a big part of the book. We're saying, if you need a nappy, that doesn't mean you're baby. It means you're learning. That's all it means. So that's the first thing about the fake toilet learning. And the second thing is when you have regressions, which is not a good name, because when we talk about regressions, it seems like we're saying they're going back to be a baby. So that's the same problem with the name calling, the labeling, which is, well, now you're acting like a baby. You shouldn't be acting like this. So there's a problem, which is not true. Actually, this kid needs to do this for a reason. So sometimes, like now, we're having this huge pandemic in the world. Everyone's isolated at home, and everything's changing. Kids are not seeing their grandparents anymore. They're not going to school. Loads of things are just changing in their lives, and then you're going to have different issues, different things they need to work with, and then sometimes they're going to have to go back to some, some things that were really reassuring to them, like using the nappy at night. So now everything's really messed up here. I need things that make me feel comfortable, and sometimes nappy is one of them. So it's not like they're going back to be a baby. They're just actually telling you what they need, which is something that I feel like we have to teach our children to do. Because when we're older, most of us grown-ups, we have problems, like we're too sad, we're crying, and most of us sometimes don't even know what we need. We don't know what we actually need to do. We have to be searching on the internet and talking to people to understand what it is that we need. And when we are children and we tell our parents what we actually need because we know, we're going to tell them, no, that's not what you need. I know what you need. Mm-hmm. And the thing about parented learning, when you see it naturally, you understand that you're not the one to tell them that. You know what I mean? You're not the one who's going to tell your kid if it's time to go to the restroom, because they are the ones who knows it. So we have to stop teaching kids that they don't know about their own bodies, that they don't know about their own selves. And we have to let them tell us what we need to learn about them. So how do you feel? Do you feel like you need a nappy or not? Can you tell me whenever you feel like you're going to the restroom? Oh, you can't. So no, it's not time for you to stop wearing it. You see? So that's yeah, so I think that's one of the big differences, is to understand that kids are going to learn about their bodies. And we're not only talking about the potty learning, but we're talking about how they deal with food, how they deal with, I'm full. Are you the kind of parent telling your kid all the time, just eat one more, just eat one more. Oh no, the plate's full. And then you're going to tell the kid, oh no, you need to eat more, although your body's telling you you're full. You see, mm-hmm. So that's a lot.
You're taking away all their autonomy, aren't you?
Yeah, you're teaching the kid that I'm the one who knows everything about you. So if you have a question, do you want to go to the potty? Then you should ask me, because I'm the one who knows it. And it's not true, and it's not going to be true about everything, about learning how to write, learning to read, about how you feel about other people, if you're shy, if you're not, everything. You have to let the child tell you. You can be a guidance for them, but you can't be the one that tells them how they feel or what they need. We have to teach our child, our kids, to tell us, what they need. And we need to be the parents that listen. We have to understand they're teaching us about them.
Of course. And what do you think are the consequences for, and I know that there are not only emotional consequences, but there are other types of consequences as well with toilet training or toilet or trying to force this process or rush this process before the child is actually ready?
One of the things is the dissociation you accidentally teach. So you teach a dissociation which is what you feel isn't exactly what you should be feeling. So you start teaching the child, like when you say, it didn't hurt. The child falls and she starts to cry and you're like, no, it didn't hurt. You're just scared. And when you say something like, that's not reason to be sad. We continually tell kids that we know about the reasons and how they should be feeling and what they should be doing. We're all the time telling them. So we're dissociating them. We're dissociating them from what they actually feel in their bodies and what we're telling them that means. You see? So sometimes what we have to say is, what is it that you feel? And then when we tell them, I can see you, I can hear you, and I'm here for you, then you have an opportunity to learn about your child. It's an opportunity to learn what they have to tell you. You have to listen to them. But if you think that there's a hierarchy, and you're high above there, and because you're the parent and the child's down here, then it's really hard for you to admit that you have something to learn from them. It's really hard for you to admit, I'm not in control here because it's not my body. So the thing is, when we grow up, we are the ones to say, oh, it's my body, my decisions. we want to, you know, have control over our bodies and all that. And we should do that from early age with our children, you know. If you want to change their nappy, if you want to take them to a shower or something, you have to ask for that permission. But it's really different from if they don't give you permission, they're not going to take a shower. It's really different. But people always mistake those things because they understand that they either have control or the kid's in control. So they're always in that, you know, struggle for power. They're always in that fight, you know, who is the boss of here, you know. But it's not about that. It's about a conversation. It's just like a couple, you know. If you have a husband and a wife and one of them is the power one and the other one's not, then you have a problem in that relationship because both of them should be equal in the relationship. That's, you know, a healthy one. So it should be that democratic with the kids as well, you know. And that's I think that's the biggest difference, because when you think of potty training, you think yourself as a trainer. So you're training someone. So you're the one that knows everything. And when you understand it's a potty learning, then you say, okay, then it's a toilet learning, then the child's going to learn. And out here, you can be a supporter maybe, but you're not the teacher. The learner is the child, but you're not the teacher.
I was talking to Dr. Deborah McNamara the other day. I don't know if you know her. She's a Canadian. She calls herself a developmentalist, which I love. It's a term that I really love. And she talks about that, the fact that being a leader, for you to be the leader as a parent, you are guiding because you want the best for your child, you know, but obviously you are reading their signs, you are respecting their needs. That's what being a leader is really about. It's nothing about, you know, being the one in control and being the dictator. The other thing that I also wanted to ask, so we talked about the emotional side of things, but we know that there are also things like constipation or,
I see.
You know, that sort of thing.
Like the physiology of it.
That's right.
Okay. So we have three aspects, which was you asked me a little time ago and I didn't answer. So the three axes, we have the cognitive, motor, and then the emotional. We have these three legs that support the toilet learning. So the thing is, if you have one of them not really good developed, then you have a problem. It's going to fall down. So what is when we have when we say the child is regressing, we're actually having a regression. We're telling that the emotional part is pending. And then, you know, she needs to go back to the diaper or the nappy. And the thing is, if you have a motor problem, so the child is emotionally okay, but she can't control it. So if you're going to tell someone to try and control something they can't control, then you're just going to make that person feel like she's incapable or something. And then we have the cognitive, which is relating those two. So I feel like I need to go to the restroom, and I can go there, and then I can hold it, and I can take my trousers down, and I can sit in the toilet and all of that. So those are the three aspects. So when we have forced toilet learning, we have problems in those three areas. So the motor part is when the child doesn't learn to hold because you're taking them to the restroom every 1 hour. And then you're doing everything the bladder should be doing. So if the bladder is not doing it, then you're doing something for the body. So the bladder should be the one to tell, I'm full, I need to go to the restroom. So if you don't let the information of the bladder go all the way to the brain, and you know, if you don't let your child learn what that information means and how to deal with it, then you're probably not giving space for the child to learn how to hold it or hold long enough, you know. So that's going to be a problem because it means the muscle is not going to be strong enough to hold the pee. And with time, she's going to drip some pee, and that's going to probably have an infection or something, and we're going to have a problem with that. And sometimes when it's a prize, or you know, that child is having punishment if she doesn't go to restroom in time or something like that, that afraid she's gonna hold too much. So she's gonna start holding and holding and holding too much. And when she does that, she's exercising the muscle too much and it's getting thicker, which means that letting it go will be that much harder. So those are two problems. If the child can't hold enough or the child can't let it go enough, it's going to be a problem either way. Either because they can't poop or they can't pee, or either because they're pooping and peeing all the time. You know, so that's going to be a lot of physiological consequences, because then we have diseases and we have other problems, like if they don't poop, then it's going to hurt them inside, and poop's going to dry, and every time they try to poop, it's going to be really hard and all that. So we have many consequences that can, you know, be because of those two muscle problems. So a motor problem, you know, a problem in the motor area.
Right. And I got questions saying exactly that. The child understands the concept. They know where you should go to you know what the toilet is for, or the potty is for, but they refuse to go on it. So they understand how your body works. They understand kind of the cognitive aspects of it, but they somehow, they're not able to control it yet, or emotionally it's something that they still feel anxious about. And people always think they are ready because they know, and if you ask them where you go, they tell you, they give you the right answer, and people think that's you know, a sure answer there, a sure sign.
Yeah, it's just like I was saying. Most of us had gone to the bathroom with a kid with us. It's really common for us to go, even when they're really small, they're bigger, and then you go in the door and they're like, "Mommy, are you there?" And they know, if you ask them, where does mommy go when she needs to go to the toilet? Where does mommy sit when mommy needs to pee, when mommy needs to poop? And they're gonna say, well, she goes to the toilet, or daddy goes to the toilet. They know where we go. They know where we should be going. The thing is, it's not just about knowing where to go, but how to hold it, you know, how to understand that the signs your body giving you, that it's, you know, this is pee, this is poop. I usually tell a story that when my oldest one, his name is Theo, when he was learning to go to the toilet, when he's feeling like he needed to pee, he was still using nappy. And then one time we were playing and he started going like this. And I asked him, I was like, do you want to go to the restroom? You want to pee? And he was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just dancing. I'm happy because we're playing. And I was like, okay. And then we went on, we were playing out, and he was like, oh. And then he just looked up and he stayed like that for like 1 minute, just looking up like, that makes sense. And I was like, what's happening?
Light bulb moment.
Yeah, light bulb moment. And he was like, so that's what wanting to pee feels like. So he had his great moment to understand how that felt. And that doesn't mean every time he felt it, he knew he needed to go to the restroom, because he needed 2 or 3 times of that to understand what he actually meant. So that had nothing to do with me. That was his. And if he didn't have a diaper, maybe it would be so traumatical. You know, oh no, my clothes are all wet. Oh my God, I was in the carpet or something. So it would become a problem, and maybe it would have a negative, you know, feeling to it. And that's not what we want. So if they have the nappy on, and my kids, they use the cloth one, the one that is ecologic. You know, the one,
cloth nappies.
Yeah. So he was using that, and then he was with me when we went there and we washed it and we put everything to dry and all that. So it's really nice because he had a whole experience. He understood what I mean. He understood how, you know, how much of a work it was, because we had to wash it and everything. And he could, you know, do it 2 or 3 times before he actually understood that means he needs to go to the toilet. So that was his moment. And the only thing I did was ask him, maybe help him understand, you know, is it, you know, do you need to go to the toilet? That was all I did. I didn't tell him, you know, you need to go to the toilet, go now. I know what this means, you know. Oh, you're moving like
So,
that.
so
I know what that means.
what can we do in terms of, because people want to have some sort of control, don't they? Parents always want to have
Yeah,
some sort of control, but
yeah.
can you offer? Is it okay to offer, to show the potty, to show the toilet, and to explain, to talk about it?
I think it's a bit, how can I say it? I think it's dangerous because because we've learned that we have to control them. So in the process to not want to control, in the process to let it go, if you start with the questions and the teaching, once you see you've done it already and you're controlling them all the time and you're asking them all the time if they want to go to the restroom and you're being, you know, the major part of this process. So what I say is don't. Try to use this as an exercise of this is not my control, this is not my process, I need to let my child go and all that. You know, sometimes you might feel like you can guide them, but if you understand that it's too hard for you to, you know, make a difference between guiding and controlling, then I'd rather you not doing anything at all, because it's gonna happen. They're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna graduate high school with a diaper on. That's not gonna happen. The process is gonna go on. It's not like when we're talking about the nookies, how you call it, chupeta.
Dummies, or it depends on where you are in the world. In the UK, we call
Yeah,
it
there are
dummies.
different names. Okay, so
Binky,
the thing,
sometimes some parts of the world.
yeah. Well, the thing
I
the
can't remember
kids
now how you call in
suck on.
American English.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it's a nookie. I'm not sure.
In British English, we call it dummy.
Dummy. Okay, so
Dummy.
anyway, that plastic thing that babies suck when they're a little small, and you if you want to
Pacifier,
put
that's
it,
it. In
pacifier.
American
Yeah,
English,
that's the name.
pacifier.
Pacifier. Yeah.
Thanks, GSV,
Which is
correct.
a horrible name for it, because it really seems like you have no peace if your child doesn't use a pacifier, or if
Right.
child's crying, then you need peace. You just give them a pacifier, and that's solved. You know. Well, anyway, if we're talking about pacifiers, and there's a different process, because sometimes pacifiers are going to be bad for the health, for the mouth, and you know, oral constitution and all that. So we're going to have to eventually, if the child's not leaving it naturally, we're going to have to do something. You know, and either way, you can actually you can really do that naturally. There's a way. But what I mean is, if you don't, the child might go 5 or 6 years old still using it. So that's a problem. The diaper is not like that. The diaper is something that naturally the child's going to leave it. There's no way they're not going to do it, you know, because it's a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to, so what I usually say is, I guess for people who are watching us, if you're going in a bus ride and it's going to be a 2-3 hours bus ride, and the bus doesn't have a toilet and they're not going to stop, do you even consider putting a diaper on? Do you consider using, you grown-up woman?
Of course not, yeah.
No, why not?
Because you understand your body, you understand your processes, and
And
you're
you feel
ready.
like it's a bit disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you feel it's a bit disgusting? You're like, I don't want to
Of
be in
course.
touch with my
Yeah.
pee. I don't
And
want
they
it.
start
It's,
to create
oh,
that awareness, don't they? Because my son,
yeah,
my son's 2 and a bit now, and he started to create now, as soon as he has a dirty nappy, he'll tell Mummy, take it away now, take it away now.
yeah.
And
So
that's
yeah,
just a
you see, that's
recent thing.
his.
So
You didn't teach him, oh, this is disgusting. When it's that, you
no.
know, when it's dirty, you have to tell me. You didn't say that. They're just, you know, naturally becoming aware of it, and they're like, no, I don't want it. You know, so that's the thing. You have to understand that that's exactly the process, and that's how much of a part you do. You have nothing to do with it. You know, so with time, you're going to start to understand. And what I see is there are loads of kids that need to use the diaper, and they're so ashamed. They're so completely ashamed. It's really bad for their self-esteem, even, because it's something they feel they shouldn't be doing, although they do. So if it is something they could choose, if it is something that has anything to do with will, do you think they should actually be wearing it? They wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen parents that do the whole prize thing, And they come crying to me like, oh, my child's 7 and I did the prize thing and they can get money and they can go to the movies or whatever. And they're still doing it in a diaper. And I'm like, well, that's because there's nothing to do with Will. If she could, she would decide to go to the movies every weekend. She would actually decide to never pee in a diaper ever again. That's not a decision to make. So if she could, she would, but she can't. That's why she wouldn't. And that's something important to understand, because if you feel that if you make that child feel bad about using something she needs, then we have a problem. And that's an unsolvable problem, which is shame, complete and utter shame. How can you deal with that? And then it starts to become a problem, a psychological problem, other than something that they're naturally going to develop.
Of course. So, for example, here in my house, I have a potty. I have one of those toilet seats that they with the little steps too that they go on. And I've had that for ages, because I thought at 10 months old, I thought he was showing signs. So, he would go under the table. He would hide every time he needed to do a poo. And people came up to me and said, oh, he's showing signs. And I thought, oh, really? Wow, that's amazing. 10 months old, he's showing signs of wanting to go to the toilet, because he already understands that it's a private thing. But obviously now at 2 years old, he's still not ready. We're not pushing. We don't offer. We just have it there because he sees us going to the toilet, and we have it there so he can use it if he wants it, and he does. He has to use it when he goes to his bath. He normally uses it, and
you see how that creates an expectation with you.
Is that something that you don't recommend as well, that children have a potty? Or
the only problem I see is the parents' expectation. That's all. When people tell you, oh, you're 10 years old, you're 10 months old, showing signs, oh my God, and the parents are like, yay,
and you get excited. You think, wow, my son.
And then you decide that's amazing, and then it creates expectations. So when your child is 5 and they still using nappy to sleep, you're like, but at 10 months old they show signs.
Exactly. And the first thing he did when I got him the potty, the first thing he did was to get into it. He started. He played. It was a toy. He was.
It's like Lisa. There's someone here in the comments, Lisa Lima. She's saying that her kid found in his wardrobe. He found a underwear, and he was really excited about it. So he used it for a week, and then after that he was done with it, and it was not fun anymore. So he went back to nappy. So the thing is, it's just a game. It's just a play. It's like a new toy he gets. And then the parents are going to be like, oh no, but that was working and now it's not working anymore. So it's a regression. And it's not a regression. It's just a child that found something amusing and now they don't find it amusing anymore. That's it. That's what happens in childhood. That doesn't mean the child is, regressing or anything. They're just not done with it and you think they should be. So the problem is with expectations, That's why I don't give signs. Because it creates expectations, and then once you create expectation, you create something else, which is they are late. They're late, and they should be doing it already, and they're not because he showed the signs. So if he showed the signs and now he's still wearing nappy, then I think he's late, and he should be done with it by now. And they're not. So. And then they stop to think it's something development or something that they should be doing something, and they want to go to the doctor and they want to go to a psychologist, and it becomes a big problem. And the thing is, when the potty learning becomes a big subject in the house, it becomes something else, which is the child trying to understand what's her part in her own body. So sometimes parents tell me, my kid's going 2 or 3 weeks without pooping and I'm desperate now. I don't know what to do. So those parents are every day asking that kid, do you need to poop today? You should poop today. So pooping becomes such a subject that it becomes so heavy in the house that the child starts to hold it. And it's the only thing that child can control. So they decide unconsciously, they decide they don't want to poop, because that becomes attention, that becomes a way of talking, it becomes a conversational topic, a way to tell parents that you're not okay, that you need attention or anything, because you decided to turn it into a topic in the house.
So someone is saying here, I already can't find diapers big enough for my daughter. Any suggestions? Where
Where
are
are you
you in the
from?
world? Because yeah, exactly.
It depends.
Because
Because I
here
went,
in the UK, I think you can, especially sometimes you might not find in the shops, but if you go online, you can definitely find every size. You can
yeah.
find.
When I was in Canada, I saw in supermarkets they have it until I think 15 years old. Like any supermarket has it. So it's pretty
Yeah,
fine, easy to find.
here
And
I
probably on the
think.
internet you find it.
Yeah, I think here you find big sizes as well in the supermarkets, but I think,
Yeah. The
you know, it
cloths
depends
ones,
on
it's
what
really easy
how
to
big your
find.
size. Yes,
The
that's
big
right.
ones,
So
the cloth
she's
ones.
in Brazil,
Ah, she's in
so
Brazil. Oh, you're not gonna find it. Then you're gonna need to look for even a do diaper like the adult ones, the ones that G or GG or whatever. Or you're gonna have to look for the cloth ones, the um, fralda moderna it called here. So you have all sizes of cloth ones. You have to wash
I'm
them, but it is no big deal.
I'm just having a quick look because we are 5 minutes now from the point that we are going to be cut off. So I'm just having a look at the
Okay.
questions. I think
Okay.
we've answered the majority of them. I do have a question here that is about children with autism or any other intelligence disorder, and it, in this case, it's a non-verbal 4-year-old, and she's asking for tips. I guess the question is there any difference? Is there anything that they should be doing differently, or is it the same process?
I would say that if your child is taking too long on that potty or toilet learning, and then there's something in your mind telling you you should, you want to understand a bit better, you want to go to a doctor, you want to go to a psychologist, you want to go to a physiotherapist, then I think you should. Because being okay with your child development is something really important for the parents. And our parents know their children much more than any professional. So if there's something about your child's development or behavior that's making your head buzz, then you should actually look for someone to give you some answers. But the thing is, either way, everything's going to go naturally. But sometimes when we have some development issues or struggles, we can have help with like a pelvic physiotherapy. So you go to the physiotherapy and they're gonna give you exercise for the pelvis and things like that. They're gonna hold and release several times and things like that. And they're gonna help with that development. They're gonna make it a bit easier for that child to understand the body while they're doing that exercise. The only thing I tell you is to be really careful with the professional you look for, because there are many professionals that are going to just give you medicine, you're going to, give you like terrible diagnosis and terrible prognosis, and you're going to be sad and have bad expectations, and it's going to be horrible for you and for your child and for the relationship and everything. So we have to be really, really careful with the people we choose to
Right. And
work with that.
is it worth also for a child who maybe the process gone all wrong, you've rushed it at the beginning, and now it's an older child with severe anxiety? I guess that's another case that you would recommend they look for professional help.
Yes, definitely. If you see that if there's anything that, buzzes you, you should actually but just look for the right professional. That's the only thing.
Mm.
You can go, even if your child is 1 and they're not toilet trained, toilet learning yet. Um, if that buzzes you, just go to the doctor, just go somewhere, just go to the right one.
And that's the
My
hard thing,
kids'
isn't it?
doctor,
To find a professional that
yeah.
has the same values as we do.
It's a harder part. It's just like a school. It's really hard to find schools. I know it's in Brazil, UK, Canada, everywhere. It's just really hard to find schools that actually understand. In Canada, they have amazing public schools, which was incredible. But in the United States, I've seen some really bad things. In the UK, I've seen too, like the naughty step and things like that. So it's really hard to find schools that really understand how much the child's not just someone trying to rule the world and, you know, hurt you. So that's the same thing about doctors. We have to look for, even psychologists or physiotherapists, we have to look for the ones that are gonna, you know, ease your heart and make you feel comfortable about it and make you understand the process, but not gonna be like, okay, so this is the medicine you're gonna take, that's all. You don't need anything else. You know, we have to really, and if you go to one that's not like we're talking about, then just have, you know, the conscience to listen to what they're saying and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. Thank you very much, I'm leaving, you know, because you're trying to find someone to, you're just trying. Just, you don't have to do whatever they say. That's what I mean. If you go to one, you're like, oh, I'm giving you this medicine, you just say, okay, thank you, I'll come back later. And you never do. That's all.
Of course. Perfect. Nanda, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Lisa.
You know, I'm very surprised that I had no idea you spoke English, or you speak English very well. So it's very nice to chat to you and give my followers that different perspective to potty training, or potty learning now that we've changed the term now, so much nicer one. So thank you so much for all of that. It's been very, very useful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope we can do this again. I really love speaking English.
Sure.
And I'm trying.
There we go. That's an opportunity to practice English. We'll do more live.
I think that the Instagram told my followers that I was online. And there are many people. I have no idea what's going on. They don't understand.
I've got a lot of Brazilians here, it seems. I can see a lot of messages in Portuguese. So they're all practicing their English as well.
So next time we can try do my my English profile, so we can have, so we don't have so much people not understanding what's going on.
Great. Thank you so much, Nanda. Speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.